is up? You are listening to HVAC Masters of the Hustle podcast, and this is your host, J-Dub Moneymaker, and welcome to episode 161. First off, before we start this episode, man, I cannot believe it, but the next level event is right around the corner. We're about 3 weeks away, and we have a heavy list of people that are going to be on stage to bring you and your company to the next level. Unfortunately, VIP is all sold out, but we have a handful of general admission tickets left. So if you guys want to sign up for the event, make sure you go to the website, www.hvacmastersofthehustle.com. We're going to go ahead and float that at the bottom of the screen as well, so you guys can check that out. Again, www.hvacmastersofthehustle.com. And man, we have a great episode. I have one of my partners on that's going to be on this episode, and we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to talk about the power of marketing when it comes to making video content and really getting your name out there. And I really want to give a huge warm welcome because, like I said, this is a partner of mine, and we're going to deliver so much content to you guys. It's just going to completely bring your game to the next level. Let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Jesse Mariut into the hot seat. How you doing?
What's up? Good, man. I'm doing good. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. So for those of you that don't know Jesse, if you guys have seen some of my video content out there of the other events that I've thrown, him and his team do a banging job. And let me tell you guys talk about fast editing. The time I am off stage, they have my video to me ASAP. So that's why we have a great partnership, because you guys are fast at what you do, and you guys are the best out there.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's if anybody's been to your events, the last two events in Vacaville, they've seen us running around the background with the cameras and stuff, trying to get shots, sometimes getting in people's ways. But yeah, that's kind of what we do, man. We specialize in quick edits on live events and stuff like that.
No, that's awesome. So talk about your journey when it comes to videography and photos and really marketing for some of the listeners or business owners that are listening to the podcast right now. What's kind of your ventures?
Yeah. Well, we started off shooting weddings about 12 years ago. And that's kind of how we developed the quick like speed and like know-how on editing, because we'd had a few weddings where we had to do same-day edits where by the end of the reception, the bride and groom wanted like a highlight video of their whole day. So we did that. My partner Steve and I, we shot close to about 350 weddings over about 5 years or so, and it slowly started to transition into doing more like nonprofit stuff with like local churches, different organizations, stuff like that. And then that shortly switched over to commercial, which is what we do now full time. So we got a big break with McDonald's. We did 3 commercials for McDonald's that aired from here to about Idaho, so most of the West Coast. And that was our biggest break. And then we also did a documentary called The Hand Rolled, a film about cigars.
Oh, for my listeners, I know I got a lot of listeners that are cigar smokers. So talk about this, because you are a cigar advocate, right? I mean, you love cigars. You're obsessed with this stuff. Talk about the cigar game real quick.
Yeah, man. Steve and I have been big cigar smokers, or cigar aficionados, if you will, collectors and all that stuff. So when we were thinking about what kind of documentary we wanted to make, because we wanted to push ourselves as far as film is concerned, and we thought a documentary would be the next step for us. We thought, let's do it on cigars. It's never been done before, at least not well. And so, yeah, we got into it. It was about a 4-year process total of like pre-production, meeting people, getting into the countries to film. And we got interviews with the biggest names in the cigar industry, people that have since passed, unfortunately. Some legends that have passed since we filmed with them. One in particular is Jose Orlando Padron. It was his last interview before he passed. He passed a few months after we interviewed him, and he's responsible for the tobacco in Nicaragua. So it's
wow.
Yeah, we got some cool names in there. So that's been out since 2019, and it can be found on like Amazon, iTunes, all that stuff.
Awesome. So let me tell my journey real quick of how you and I got really connected, right? So
Yeah,
when I started this journey, when it comes to national training, you need a videography team to really help you elevate your game to the next level when it comes to marketing and everything. And I had another videography team, and the guy ended up going different ways, and I was in a pinch. And I was in a pinch because it was my first event in November, right? And so I reached out to my pastor at church and I said, man, you guys do some really good quality videos. Who do you recommend? And he goes, dude, there's only one person I would ever recommend in touch video, and that's Jesse. And here you are now. We've been working together for about 2 years now. And I
yeah,
mean, dude, you've been throwing some amazing videos and everything where now we're talking about our partnership of how we're going to really deliver to the trades, right?
of course. Yeah, I think the most important thing is video tells a story, and people don't see it that way. They'll see it like, oh, I'm going to put together a quick 30-second video for my company or whatever. Dude, if it's a 15-second, 30-second video, you're telling a story with that video. Yeah, it can be an ad, but how do you get your customers' interest with your video? So that's where we kind of specialize. We like to call ourselves storytellers in that sense because, man, that's just what we like to do. So you and I have been talking, and Steve, the three of us have been chatting about, man, how can we elevate the people that you work with? Because you're already killing it with the trainings and stuff like that. How do we keep their momentum going when you're not able to be on the ground with them or doing online trainings or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And the way to do that is video.
Absolutely. And so let me ask you, when it comes to videoing, right? How long should, like, because I know that there's aroma people listening to this podcast right now. Maybe some of them make their own marketing videos and everything.
Yeah.
But as a professional, how long should these videos be? Because I mean, sometimes I'm at fault too, where I've created videos and they're 2-3 minutes long, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you showed me the videos you made, like could have been 2 minutes shorter?
All the time.
My favorite way to describe it to people is, you remember Vine, when Vine was super popular?
Yeah.
6-second videos is all it was. I was heavy into Vine, into watching Vines. And if I wasn't engaged within 2 seconds, I'd click off. So that's the generation you're dealing with right now. I'm 35 years old. I'm not exactly a kid. But at the same time, I don't have time for like a crappy video. If it doesn't draw me in, that's not going to keep my attention. And I'm not going to want to see what's on there. So the shorter, the better. But more importantly is, what are you showing on that video that's captivating the audience for that 15, 30, 60 seconds, whatever the case may be. You can have a 3-minute long video, but you better keep my attention the whole time.
Absolutely, right? I mean, and that's one thing that you always preach about me. And when I show you the videos, you laugh at me because you go, dude, you could cut half of that shit out, right?
Yeah. I mean, with anything, man, you trim the fat. Like with your trainings, I guarantee you, I've seen you on stage enough to know you're not talking about bullshit when you're on stage. You're trimming the fat and straight to the facts. Let's get everything out as consistent, as concise as possible, because that's what people want to know. So it's the same thing with video marketing. It's the same thing with everything.
So let's talk about what you and I had planned for my Spartans, my listeners out there, right? So you and I came together and we really collaborated with, your partners and everything. And we're doing something really good for the trades. I mean, we're going to elevate everyone to the next level. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast.
For sure. So you and I have been sitting down and talking, and Steve and myself have been doing separate research as well on what really grabs people's attention in the HVAC industry as far as consumers go. So what you and I want to do in this is create commercials or ad videos that can be used in different markets. So anybody, like, let's say we're in Sacramento, right, where we live right now. So in Sacramento versus Roseville, I mean, it's like a 15-mile difference, but people in the Sacramento market can use that ad and people in the Roseville market can use that ad, and it won't cross-pollinate. So what we want to do is create ads that can be used in any market, teach people how to post them, because more importantly, how do you put your ad dollars behind it when you're posting? Facebook, just to give you an example, when we were advertising for wedding videography on Facebook, we wanted high-end clients. So we would type in specific sex of the person. So we'd try to go after the females because they're the ones that are doing most of the research for their weddings, and specific cities, specific incomes, specific educations, and all that kind of stuff. So you can target your ads to only show to those people online. There's a reason why Facebook and Instagram listen to your conversations and stuff. Get an ad immediately when you talk about something, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's crazy that it happens. I mean, me and my wife will be having a conversation. I get on social media and all of a sudden there's an ad of what we're just talking about, right? So it is listening to us.
Oh, if I forget what I'm looking for, like an example is I wanted a back massager, you know, one of those like power massagers or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just picked up my phone and go back massager, back massager, back massager. And I just wait for it. For real. That's how it goes. So what we want to do with not only create these ads, because we can create these ads, people can buy them and post them, you know, have your logo at the end. So it's tailored to your company. You can post them all day long. But if you want to put, let's say, $100 in advertising behind it, so you reach an extra 400 or 500 people or more, depending on your market, depending on your city, we want to teach people how to post it, how to use keywords when they're posting it and stuff like that. I think that's the way to make it effective.
Absolutely. So I want my listeners to understand this. We're not just going to be producing marketing videos for your company. We're actually going to create them, but we're also going to train you on how to use them. And that's when Jesse and his team, Steve, comes in behind and really informs and educates you guys on what to do with those. And we're going to be having content videos or commercials throughout the year where you guys could buy them in bulk. You know, let's talk about that.
Yeah, the goal is, I mean, we're all fairly new at this concept that we're putting together. So the goal is to have 2 videos by your next training to start off with that. And we'd like to have a whole bank of videos by the end of the year. That's the goal. I mean, it could be 20, it could be 100, but we'll see how they go. What we do also in the meantime is we research and see how the videos are doing. Are they better if they're videos that we shoot in studio and it's all just, you know, person to camera talking? Is it better if it's people inside of a home? You know, is it better if we use professional actors or if it's just text on the screen? This is all the research that we do in the background and help you post accordingly to hit different markets. So the idea is to have a bank of them. You can purchase, if it's working great for you, you can purchase as many as you want or as little as you want. But whatever's working for you, the idea is to make money for yourself, right? You got to make a return on your investment.
Absolutely.
In anything. ROI. So if you're going to pay for training, you better make sure you're making double, triple the money you just paid for that training. If you're paying for a commercial, regardless of who it is that films it, you got to make all that money back plus, you know, 10x.
Absolutely. So talk about some of your experiences dealing with different companies, making some marketing videos. What have you done to help elevate companies to the next level?
My favorite one right now, which is the fastest turnaround we've had. Now, also, you have to remember, people like to tell you complaints. Very rare do people come back to tell you positive things, at least in the video industry. So, but one thing we do have is we have this homeless shelter that we work with. They're a large homeless shelter in this area, and we do all their video marketing. And the thing they told us within 8 months of working with us, they've increased their donations by 200%. So that's kind of crazy. Granted, they're donations for a nonprofit, so it's a little bit of a different venue, but it's just really cool to see how the power of video compels people to give, or it brings them into their story.
The cool thing about, you know, me working with Jesse on one of our first events was in November of 2021 in Vacaville, California, was Jesse also helped me bring the energy. And when I talk about that is it was my first event. So I didn't really know, I know how to bring the energy, but I didn't know how to engage the energy to keep it going, right? Yeah. And Jesse kept coming up to me, not knowing that he was actually helping me out. And he was saying, dude, I need you to do this in the next 10 minutes to get really everyone engaged and to really just bring the energy, right? So I need this for the video. So the fact that you pushed me at my event without you even noticing it even elevated that event to the next level where when everyone left, that's all they were talking about, right? And then you had that powerful video that was done day 1 and day 2 that just really stamped and solidified what we brought, right? And we bring the energy, I'll tell you that. Talk about your experience working at my events.
Well, for us, like I said, going back to like my story about Vine, if it's not going to engage me, I'm not going to want to watch. And that's the way I look at it when I make videos for you or for anyone else. So as we're filming the event, we notice that all we have footage of is people speaking on stage. And that's boring to watch. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're a paleontologist, you're not going to just want to watch somebody on stage. You got to make it, engaging. So, and that's where our experience comes from, like filming at church events. The church that you and I attended, Bayside, is a church of about 25,000 weekly. So they do massive events, but we know in every little off time between speakers and stuff, they do, volleyball in the middle of the church, or they shoot like a t-shirt gun or something. You're keeping people engaged, right? Same thing at basketball, whatever. So that's what we brought to the event is, dude, in order to make this video bring it up to the next level, to use your phrase, we need stuff to happen. And also we know that that'll help out everybody else shake things out, not get bored. Like they're getting a lot of information, but they need to get a little bit of a break also. So the fun thing with your event is being able to see everybody soak in all that information, take breaks. You guys give out breaks because you guys give out breaks more often than I've seen before at events, which is great. A 10-15 minute break is huge. It helps people reset. And that keeps that energy going no matter what. So as soon as you're done doing like an hour-long training from stage, people are immediately ready to like jump up and do something fun. So their energy level is still high, even though they're learning the whole time. It's a lot of fun.
So talk about, one thing that you also do, or some companies have hit you up after my event, seeing the videos, is you've been really interested in doing some company training, or not company training, sorry, but company videoing as well, and doing some marketing as well, which you're also doing. So it's not just commercials, but he'll also come on site with his team and he'll do some shooting for you as well with your team if you guys actually just want customized videos for your team as well.
Yeah, we do commercials, obviously, customized videos. We do a lot of corporate training videos. For McDonald's, we've done like 3 or 4 employee like training videos. When you first come on to McDonald's, you have to sit in a room and watch a video. So we've done a lot of that stuff. But we also do a lot of social media management, content creation. So pictures, photos, videos, tailored specifically to companies. So it's anywhere from a big commercial that you want to put out on TV or online for your company, down to, hey man, we just are struggling with our Facebook and Instagram. We need someone to take over, post for us, and I don't even want to think about it. Like, just get me more followers, get me more views. So we do it all, man, from top to bottom.
No, that's awesome. So what got you into the whole videography game?
I was always a creative. Steve and I have always been into video. I took a video class in high school back when we used to edit with VHS tapes, which I'm not that old, but still in our high school we did. And then I kind of stopped. And when my wife at the time was pregnant with our first daughter, I got a camera, a DSLR. And this was right after people started filming with DSLRs. This was not the thing back then. People were still using video cameras at the time. Canon put out a 5D Mark II is what it was called. That's the first time it elevated video. So I bought one. I told Steve, hey, man, I'm thinking about getting into photography again. Like I kind of did a little bit in high school, whatever. And he's the one that convinced me. He said, hey, let's do video instead with these cameras. All right, let's give it a shot. And that was it, man. I love to create. I love to storytell. I love to make something out of nothing. We got a client right now that we just filmed for that he like runs a personal gym, and he's a chiropractor, and he's a massage therapist, and he's trying to like blend all 3 things together. So we shot with him for a whole day for about 8 hours. I have no idea what I'm going to make out of the footage, but knowing that at the end of like the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have something out of nothing is really exciting for me.
Absolutely. Well, let's kind of, how do you go into shooting? I mean, so one thing you say is you have 8 hours of content of videos and you're not sure what you're going to make, right? So how do you take all that and make something amazing like you do?
It's tough, man.
That's a skill. I mean, it's like art, right? It's like drawing a canvas or something. You guys are very strategic about what you do.
It depends. A lot of times we love to plan ahead of time. And this is something I tell you all the time before now we've done 2 events together, or 3 technically.
3, yeah.
For your personal events, I try to tell you, like, dude, let's talk at least a few minutes beforehand. Like, I need to know a little bit about what's going on. So we want to plan.
You mean you don't want to go in there blind?
We can, like, as you've seen, we can create something out of nothing. But if we are more prepared, it makes our lives easier. So if we can, for any commercial or any type of video we create, we like to put more hours in the pre-planning as we can. For the movie, for example, we did a year of pre-planning, picked up a camera. But events like yours, or like this client I was telling you about, the client himself was just like non-communicative, right? He didn't want to talk at all. He's just like, no, just get here. We'll shoot some stuff. I hate that. I hate it completely, but we'll do it. But I hate it. With live events like yours, it's kind of, you don't really have a choice. Mm-hmm. That's just how the live events go. So as we're shooting at your event, there are specific shots. The first event back in May of 2021, you guys had balloons drop in the background, right? At the opening of everything. So I happened by accident to get a really cool shot of the camera kind of going down and panning up into the balloons as they're coming down.
Yeah.
If anybody just goes to look at your Facebook, they'll see that shot. And so immediately I took that to Steve, because Steve was doing the editing while I did most of the shooting during that event. I was like, dude, use this shot immediately for the opening, and I have a song in mind that works with this shot. And so then there we go. There's the first song. Then that night, Steve's like, dude, I thought of a song that might be really good for tomorrow's recap. And he sends me the song. Cool, let's cut that 3-minute song to a minute, and let's start thinking about shots to get while we're shooting. So it's just that's kind of how it works. And if I get a cool shot of something like Weldon Long, I got a good shot of him on the drums, and I'll tell Steve, like, hey, man, use this shot over here. I think it'll be really good at like the 45-second mark.
Yeah.
Of a song. So you're piecing stuff together to the music, or visually, you can for us, we can see, oh, it would look good if it crescendoed here and it did like this thing right here, and climax at this shot, and that kind of pulls it all together. So sometimes we just pull stuff out of our ass, and sometimes it's pre-planned.
But I mean, it works out great, and things that we were talking about for some of the listeners, as me, Jesse, and Steve were talking about what type of commercials we're going to give you guys. We're probably looking at maybe doing some through the eyes of the homeowner, the clients, right? To really engage them. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that idea more than anything. I think it puts the perspective in the customer's hands. So the customer gets to see the ad and see themselves through the ad versus being sold something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It engages and connects to their emotion. And that's the thing, is we got to engage with the emotion, because that's what, at the end of the day, right, triggers someone to buy or to call or whatever it is. Exactly.
If they can see themselves in that situation, then they can see more of the value of what's being sold to them, really. Because at the end, we're selling them a product or a service, but we know it's going to benefit them. So how do you get them to see, oh, wait, I actually do need that. I need the inspection, or I need to get the air filtration system, or whatever the case may be.
What are some of so you being a professional of doing what you do, what do you see some, maybe videographers out there that do that are like cringing to you? I mean, they take, people's money and they make some shit video. What's cringing to Jesse? What do they need to look out for? Because I mean, my videographer guy, I mean, I'm blessed to have you on my team, because I was fooled, right? I mean, between my first video guy, and I'm not talking shit on him, he's good at what he does for what he does, but there's a whole different level between him and you, right? Yeah. So if I was well educated on what to stay away from, what would you say?
I would ask questions like, what kind of gear are people using? I don't expect anybody to know what they're using, but if they're using, like, let's see.
You guys have the top shit. You got a red camera.
Well, okay, yeah, not everybody. I mean, we shot a movie, so not everybody's gonna have, you know, 100 grand in gear ready to go. But like, are people using lights? Something as basic as lights. When we shot in Vegas, I shot primarily on iPhone because it shoots 4K, and the video came out great. But like, what's the lighting situation like and stuff like that? Do people have lights? Do people have audio? Are they just shooting with the camera and no microphone attached to you or anything like that?
Do they know how to use the microphone?
Exactly. Like, I would look for that. You can tell when you see people's work, you know, what's good and what's not. You know, anybody can tell. And if you like their style, you like their style. But you're going to know exactly what you're getting into before you even call the person if you just look at their work. And unfortunately, there's Yelp and stuff like that for video, but that's not always accurate. You know, I wouldn't really base my decision on that kind of stuff on reviews, but let the work speak for itself.
So let's talk about what makes you different than them then. So you have some state-of-the-art equipment, right? So
yeah,
if they plan on having you come out to an on-site to do a video shoot for them, like you said, you have 100,000 plus in gear that you're bringing out, right? I mean, you have a $60,000 camera. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but just because I have it doesn't mean I know how to use it, right? So what sets us apart, I think if you look at our videos, you'll see it's hard to explain to people that don't know video. The lighting, first of all, it's all the way it's imposed lighting and stuff like that. So if it looks crazy good, it doesn't look like me right now. Like looks like garbage, right? But if I was to set this up professionally, I'd have a light coming from my sliding door so that the fake light matches the sun. And then I have another hair light right here, so you get a little bit of a glow from behind. You know, that's the kind of stuff I look for. Stuff like sound design. Do you hear little edits in the sound? You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. If I'm typing, you'll hear imposed typing on stuff. So I think that's the kind of stuff I look for, is just the little details that people don't really notice.
And so what is your goal for yourself and your company? I mean, as we're partnering, we're going to grow you even bigger, but what's Jesse's, you know, and Steve's 3-year goal? Where do you guys see yourself with what you're doing?
Well, I would love to be able to do more projects where we can take full creative control on. To give you an example, to go back to McDonald's, the first commercial we did for them, they gave us their exact plan. Just do it exactly like this, these shots, blah, blah, blah. And we did it, but then we gave them a second video that we planned out ourselves. And then the next time they came back with another like food item, it was like a breakfast thing. They said, here's a food item, do whatever you guys want, I don't care. So they trusted us from that, us taking the control.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Give me the product that you want us to do, or do a commercial on, or an ad, or whatever, a movie on, a short story, whatever the case is, and just let us run with it. That's the kind of stuff I love to do, is when we get to plan stuff out ourselves and do it all out. And people can trust us.
I would think that a lot of people would allow you to do your own thing, because I mean, I look at, you know, you and Steve as artists of your crafts, right? And then you guys envision what you're going to do. I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, that's not my scope of work, right? So I'm going to leave it to you to just, I mean, every time you and I work together, I'm just like, Jesse, do your thing. Steve,
yeah,
but I know you guys are going to make something masterful. Yeah, I mean,
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, though.
That's crazy.
The guy I just shot with, man, like the video I told you I would need to put together, he literally emailed me and was like, hey, man, do you want me to come in and sit with you while you edit? I'm like, no, I don't need to 20 hours next to me on the computer. Like, who's got that kind of time?
Yeah.
Just, wow. Yeah, so, I mean, it depends on people's personality. Some people like to micromanage every step of the way. Some people are just like, do your thing. And you got to gain people's trust. With trainings, people got to trust you. With video, people got to trust you, and that's where it's at. But the work speaks for itself. So once people see that kind of stuff, then they just know we're going to get a good product out of it, and they know that we're going to have good communication too. That's what matters.
Absolutely. And let me ask you, my next question is, where did you come up with the name for your company?
Render Social?
Yeah.
Oh,
what's the story behind that?
Render is part of the editing process, rendering video.
Okay.
Social being social media was starting to, like, this was about I want to say 8 years ago that we created Render Social, because we had our Ampersand Cinema is our mother company that we did for weddings. Ampersand being that and symbol. And then we needed to start a second company for just commercial, because we didn't want one to be associated with the other. So we brainstormed, man, a ton of names. I can't even tell you, probably 50 names. But at the time, it was getting to the point where people were no longer doing mailers and cold calling and stuff like that. People were only relying on social media. And now, of course, it's still to advertise. So that's why we kind of came up with the idea of Render, kind of explaining the video, and social, bringing in the whole social media aspect.
So let me ask you another question. So you could either go work for someone and do video, or you could be an entrepreneur like you and Steve and create your own thing, right? Which you guys created it and it's blown up. What made you go the entrepreneur route?
That's just who we are, man. We started our first, I've known Steve for almost 30 years. So since we were babies almost, we started our first company together when we were 18, failed within 3 weeks. But since
what was that?
It's when Craigslist first came out, nobody knew what it was. So we would go around to used car dealerships and say, hey, we'll advertise your cars for you on Craigslist because it's free. But whatever customers we bring you guys give us a cut. And so we did that for about 3 weeks. And then both of us went separately into surgery for random stuff. Me for my foot, him for whatever. So then that failed. But since then, we've always had our own businesses. We've never really worked for anybody. So, yeah, we have friends that are in video that are insanely talented, and they do well as like editors for big companies or whatever. But for us, I like taking on what I want to take on. I like the decisions to be made between me and Steve. Every time you and I talk about video, I'm like, yeah, let me talk to Steve and I'll get back to you, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's our partnership. That's the way we are. It's the same way Steve is with me. So I like that, and I like not having to answer to anybody.
Yeah. You know? It's nice not to answer for anyone, right?
Be
the man, not make the man money.
Exactly. And I've been doing it my whole adult life, so I don't know if I could switch back now.
So with you doing videography, I mean, you got to travel to some cool places, especially doing the cigars and everything. What is your most favorite place to travel?
Nicaragua.
Hands
down.
Just beautiful?
It's beautiful. It's really, really cheap. We've made a ton of friends out there, so every time we go out there, it's like we stay with friends. We don't really stay in places. When we did the movie, we did it for so cheap that we stayed in like $8 a day hostels. Like it was like literally our camera. Steve slept with the camera under his pillow to make sure nobody steals it. So I think all that really just solidified it for us. We've been going to Nicaragua for about 7 years now, and we've been going at least every year.
When are you moving there?
I'm not. But to that point, I had a friend that bought a house in Nicaragua from the States that came with us for the first time 7 years ago. So it's like people fall in love with it. And so I love the tobacco. Also, like that's the other thing is I'm a big cigar guy. So when I go out there, I go to tobacco fields. I have all the cigar family out there that I hang out with. Literally, the owners of My Father's Cigars, Don Pepin, one of the biggest badasses in the cigar industry. I call him Grandpa. Like that's how close we are to them. So his daughter, I call her mom. Like that. So that's the family aspect.
Love it.
And then there's a small fishing village that have some like local surfers there, and that's where we hang out to just be on the beach and at the water. Just a little podunk fishing village.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question. I got listeners on this podcast that are business owners, service technicians, comfort advisors, management teams, installers, CSRs, dispatch. What would you like for them to get out of this episode of HVAC Masters of the Hustle?
I would like for them to reconsider how they show themselves online. I know it's easy for people, as far as I've seen, especially in sales of any kind, to just be like, no, I do best face-to-face.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure you do. But online is now. It's not the future. It's not the past. It's the present. So what's your presence like online? How are you showing yourself online? How are you getting more people to see you? Because, yeah, you do face, but how are you pulling them in? You know what I mean? Like word of mouth is great, but if people see you all too, there's more customers to tap into. So I Think about that. Think about the way you do video. Even if you're just posting a video of yourself with your iPhone, bring a lamp closer to your face to light up your face a little bit more. Small things like that. Just whatever you're doing online to increase your presence, put a little more thought and effort into it. Go on Amazon and buy an $8 microphone that plugs into the bottom of your phone and clip it to your shirt, your lapel. You know, just any little bit better audio, stuff like that. A $30 ring light is going to make a world of a difference. Like
a gable. I mean, you taught me a lot, man. No one wants to see
a gimbal,
the screen, right? The gimbal.
Yeah, I use a little stabilizer, man. It was like $80 on Amazon. That little stabilizer, you put it on. Yeah, I use it for my kids, like just scooting around on their scooters. Who cares? Like and then I'll use it professionally. I brought it with us to Vegas.
Yeah,
those assets, man. For under $100, you can increase your online presence by so much. The way you look online, just make yourself look a little bit better. That's
Absolutely. And for my listeners, I'm super excited about our partnership. We are going to bring the marketing to the next level when it comes to commercial ads for you and your team. So make sure you guys check it out. We are going to drop the first 2 ads for the marketing commercials at the event May 5th and 6th. So when I'm on stage, I'm going to go ahead and play those. And it is going to disturb the industry when it comes to this. Because there's guys out there making marketing pieces, which there's some guys out there making, you know, commercials when it's, you know, it's comedian, this and that. But we're going to do it through the eyes of the homeowner on some of them. And it's going to be some badass shit. So I'm super excited about what we're going to bring to everyone in this industry and the trades.
Yep. I'm stoked on it, man. It'll be fun.
All right, man. Well, thanks for being a guest in the hot seat, brother. It's always an honor.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Boom.